All right, look at y'all. I see you. I see you looking at me, and I know why you're here. You showed up today not because you want to talk about him, but because you want to talk about you. You've been in that situation. I'm talking about that slick kind of chaos, that subtle little dance where you walk away scratching your head thinking, wait a minute, did I just get blamed for the rain? You start doubting your own mind, your own memories, your own soul. You've been twisted up in somebody else's storm. And it feels like you're losing your footing. That pressure, that low, great anxiety that just lives in the back of your throat, that's real. And I need you to understand something right now. Your confusion is not your fault. Let's just be honest about why you're sitting here today. You're carrying something heavy. It's not the kind of heavy you can lift in the gym. It's the kind of heavy that sits right in the middle of your chest, right behind your rib cage. It's the invisible weight of constant confusion. You came here because somewhere in your life, whether it's a spouse, a boss, a family member, or even a friend, you've been dealing with a master illusionist. And what do illusionists do? They make you doubt your own eyes. They make you believe that what you saw wasn't what you saw, and what you heard wasn't what you heard. See, the pain of dealing with a manipulative person doesn't usually come from a sudden big fight. It comes from the slow, steady erosion of your own self-trust. It's that feeling, that nagging sensation where you walk away from a conversation and you're mentally replaying the tape. Did I say that? Was I too sensitive? Maybe they're right. Maybe I am the problem. You end up apologizing for things you didn't do, or explaining yourself when you shouldn't have to, because the manipulator's entire strategy is to confuse your compass and make you feel perpetually off balance. That's what, when I talk about being blamed for the rain. Think about it. They'll step outside, soaking wet, look at you, and somehow convince you that you left the umbrella inside. You wanted them to get wet, and you should be sorry for the inconvenience their wet clothes are causing you. It's a genius level move in emotional warfare, but it's toxic, and it's not your fault. I need you to take a deep breath right now, and I want you to give yourself permission to feel every bit of that frustration, every bit of that hurt, and every single sliver of that confusion. Because listen to me, your feelings are valid. Your reality is real. The manipulator has been running a campaign against your mind, attempting to convince you that the sky is purple when you know darn well it's blue. And that battle, that constant internal fight to hold on to your truth, is absolutely exhausting. It's trauma. When you're dealing with this kind of behavior, you often feel isolated because it's so hard to explain. You try to tell a friend, he said he was going to clean the garage, but then when I asked him about it, he told me I was controlling and that I clearly don't appreciate anything he does. And the friend might say, well, maybe he was just stressed. But they don't understand the pattern. They don't understand that for you. It's not one event. It's 1,000 little paper cuts that leave you bleeding dry emotionally and spiritually. And that's why we have to start here. Before we can talk about the how to, before we can get into the 5 moves you need to make, we have to validate the injury. You have been through something, and it is okay to acknowledge that you are hurt, you are tired, and you are ready for a new chapter. We are here to scoop up all those scattered pieces of doubt, all that self-blame, and put it right where it belongs in the trash. That heavy weight on your chest, that's not yours to carry anymore. That belongs to the person who put it there. You were not weak for believing them. You were not stupid for loving them. You were just a human being dealing with someone who was playing by a different, dirtier set of rules. Today, we rewrite the rule book. But the first rule is simple: we acknowledge the cost. We feel the pain, we honor the struggle, and we commit to walking out of this space with a mind that is clear and a spirit that is whole. Because once you understand the game, you can quit playing their part. And that's where the real power begins. All right? Now that we've taken that deep breath and we've validated the pain, and trust me, it was necessary, it's time for the pivot. This is the moment where we stop talking about him and we start talking about the captain of this ship. You see, for too long, you've been letting this person, this manipulator, act as the director, the screenwriter, and the lead actor in the movie of your life. And what have you been? You've been the confused extra, standing on the side, waiting for their cues, hoping they'll give you a decent line or maybe a small nod of approval. You've been measuring your entire day by the fluctuating meter of their mood. If they woke up happy, you felt safe. If they came home angry, you automatically felt guilty. That, my friends, is no way to live. That is a life lived in reverse. And here is the hard truth about the trap you've been caught in. You've been spending Olympic-level energy trying to solve their puzzle. You thought, if I can just be clearer or kinder or apologize one more time, they will finally see the light and be fair. Stop it. You were trying to get a fair outcome from someone who doesn't believe in fair play. You were trying to get an apology from a person whose apology would be worthless because they haven't changed the script. You cannot win a rigged game. And that desperate desire to finally be seen or validated by them is the leash they use to keep you tied up. But here is the great, comforting, beautiful news. The movie is yours. The power they hold over you is entirely derived from your decision to keep watching their performance. You have the ultimate power, the power of the redirect. I want you to picture your emotional energy as a massive, powerful spotlight. For years, you've kept that spotlight shining directly on the manipulator. What is he doing? What is he thinking? How can I protect myself from his next move? And while you're shining the light on them, your own beautiful life, your talents, your goals, your joy, your spirit has been sitting over here in the dark, dusty corner. Self-empowerment is literally picking up that spotlight and shining it back on yourself. It is realizing that the moment you stop engaging with their drama is the moment they lose their audience. And more importantly, the moment you gain your life back. This shift isn't something complicated. It's the decision to say, I am no longer going to spend my precious, finite time analyzing their motives. I am going to spend my time building my fortress. What does that fortress look like? It looks like focusing on your career plan. It looks like taking that class you always wanted to take. It looks like pouring love into the friends and family who actually see you and value your sanity. It means that when they try to pull you into the mud, you don't argue back. You simply say, I hear you. And then you change the subject to something that benefits your life. You don't need to fight them to prove them wrong. You prove them irrelevant by moving forward. Your energy is your greatest currency. Every second you spend explaining yourself to a manipulator is a dollar you just threw away. Every minute you spend feeling guilty because they told you to is an investment that will never pay a dividend. It's time to be financially responsible with your spirit. Start investing in the greatest stock on the market, you. The manipulator has the action, but you hold the reaction. And the reaction we're choosing today is silence, strategy, and self-focus. We are moving from the defensive position, where we wait for their attacks, to the offensive position, where we are so busy building our own empire of peace and joy that their little disruptions don't even register on the radar. But how do you start building? Where do you put the first stake in the ground for your new fortress? You start by defining the perimeter. You start with the non-negotiable standards of respect. You start with the most powerful word in recovery: boundaries. All right, let's talk about the architecture of your new life. If we've established that the movie is yours and you've picked up your spotlight, what's the very first piece of furniture you put in your newly illuminated space? It's not a fancy couch. It's a boundary. I need you to stop thinking of boundaries as a weapon. They are not a wall you build out of anger to keep people out. No, no, no. A boundary is a blueprint for self-respect. It is a quiet, powerful declaration that says, this is the floor. This is the minimum requirement for entry into my world. And if you can't meet it, you cannot stay. It is the ultimate act of self-love, and it is the only thing that will make sense to a manipulator. See, a manipulative person doesn't understand love. They understand leverage. They operate on access. They thrive because they have unlimited, easy access to your emotions, your guilt, your time, and your energy. You've been operating with the door wide open and saying, come on in and take what you need. Setting a boundary is putting up a velvet rope and putting a bouncer, your own newly empowered self, at the door. Think about it this way. A boundary is not telling them what to do. You can't control them. A boundary is telling yourself what you will do when they cross the line. It's the difference between saying, stop yelling at me, which gives them power to continue, and saying, if you raise your voice at me, I will end this conversation and walk away. The first statement is a plea. The second is an action plan. And this is the secret sauce. When you set a clear, kind yet firm boundary, you are signaling to your soul that you are non-negotiable. You are telling that little tired voice inside your head that's been doing all the apologizing, you are safe now. I got us. It's not about being mean. It's about being mentally solvent. It's about protecting your emotional assets. Now, I got to give you a warning, and I need you to listen to this part closely. They are going to test you. When you start putting up these boundaries, the manipulator will not thank you. They will not say, oh, wow, I appreciate your clarity. No, they're going to throw a tantrum. They're going to get mad. They are going to pout. They are going to try to guilt you. And they are going to try to convince you that you are being selfish. You are being unreasonable. And you are trying to control them. And when they do that, I want you to remember this. Their anger is not proof that you are wrong. Their anger is proof that your boundary is working. It means they have just realized they're free. Unlimited access card to your emotions has been deactivated. The game is changing, and they don't like it. So you don't debate the tantrum. You just let it pass. You hold the line. Boundaries give you back your personal space. They are the beautiful, clean lines that separate your responsibilities from theirs. They teach you that you are responsible for your own feelings, and they are responsible for their own behavior. You are not responsible for their feelings about your boundaries. The moment you start enforcing these non-negotiable standards of respect, you will feel a weight lift off your shoulders. The weight of trying to manage someone else's emotional instability. And in that new space, in that quiet perimeter you've just created, that's where the deep, real inner strength you need to heal is going to bloom. Because self-respect isn't a gift. It's a decision you make every single day. We just talked about boundaries. And I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, that sounds wonderful, but where am I going to find the guts to enforce it when he starts yelling? Where am I going to find the courage when she starts crying and trying to guilt me back in? You feel like you're trying to defend that brand new boundary with a paper shield and a shaky voice. I need you to eliminate that thought right now. Because the strength you are looking for is not something you go to the store and buy. It's not something you can download off the internet. It is not an external resource, and it is not a gift that needs to be granted to you by some outside entity. The strength you need is already yours. It's not just in you. It was forged in you. Think about it this way: what makes a piece of steel incredibly strong? It's the heat, right? It's the hammering, the shaping, the constant pressure of fire and cooling. Every single argument you survived, every time you had to bite your tongue and maintain your composure in the face of chaos, every time you chose to get up the next morning and face the confusion again, you were in the furnace. You were being tempered. You didn't break. You bent, you hurt, but you didn't shatter. That's not weakness, baby. That is survival skill. That is the deepest kind of power. A manipulator's main tool is convincing you that you are fundamentally weak and incapable. They need you to believe that your feelings are crazy, your judgment is poor, and that without their guidance or their stability, you will fall apart. They do this because if you realize how strong you truly are, their entire system of control crumbles. When you start trusting your gut, they lose their favorite weapon, your doubt. Your inner strength is simply the ability to hear your own quiet, honest voice over the loudspeaker of their drama. It's the confidence to say, the data from my own experience tells me this is wrong, and I'm listening to my data now. We are reclaiming the word resilience. Resilience is not about bouncing back quickly. It's about understanding that even when you feel bruised, you can still function. It's recognizing that the human spirit is designed for healing and that emotional scars are proof you won the battle, not that you lost the war. We're moving away from being a reactor to being a decider. A reactor just waits for something to happen and then flinches. A decider initiates their own actions. The choice to step back, to disengage, to not apologize for something you didn't do. That is not a failure to fight. It is the highest expression of inner strength. It takes more fortitude to walk away from a fight you know you can't win than it does to engage in it. It shows maturity, self-control, and a clear understanding of your own value. So I'm asking you to look inside and honor the person who has kept you going this far. That person is tired, but that person is also the most powerful tool you possess. You've weathered the storm. Now, we are simply taking the energy you used to survive the storm and channeling it into the building of a beautiful, peaceful future. You have the steel, you have the resilience, and you have the right to peace. You have earned this, and you are strong enough to claim it. This inner strength is not just for survival, though. It is the fuel for action. It's what powers the practical moves we need to discuss next. It's the engine that drives your newfound self-respect. Okay, my friends, we are here. We have done the necessary soul work. We've identified the wound. We've claimed our personal power. We've drawn the line of self, respect with boundaries, and we have tapped into that incredible, fiery inner strength that proves you are a survivor, not a victim. You know you've got the steel, but I'm a practical person, and I know what you're thinking now. You're saying, that's beautiful, I feel great, but come Tuesday morning, when the text message comes in, what exactly do I do? That is where we go from inspiration to instruction. Because you can have the most powerful car in the world, but if you don't know how to put it in a drive and steer it away from the ditch, you're just sitting there burning gas. The next part of this speech is your playbook. It is your 5-step tactical guide to deflecting emotional manipulation, preserving your sanity, and finally finding that everyday, consistent peace that you absolutely deserve. This isn't theory. This is real world Monday morning defense. We are going to give you 5 non-negotiable moves that you can memorize, practice, and deploy the moment the chaos begins. The first move, and this one is genius in its simplicity, is what we call the gray rock technique. Listen up. A manipulator feeds on your reaction. They want the drama, the tears, the yelling, the explaining. That's their emotional fuel. When they try to engage that way, your job is to become the most boring person alive. We are going to teach you how to become emotionally dull, unresponsive, and utterly uninteresting to their tactics. You're going to learn how to starve the drama until it packs up its bags and moves right out of your life. Second, we are going to implement the information diet. A manipulator can only leverage what they know about you. We're talking about cutting off the supply chain to their arsenal. We are sealing the vault. You will learn the art of speaking in pleasant, professional generalities. You learn to share only what is necessary for practical survival, and nothing, absolutely nothing. That can be used as emotional ammunition, guilt, or blame later on. Third, we master the simplest but hardest move, the 3-second pause. When they hit you with the guilt, the accusation, or the blame, shift your instinct, your programming, is to react immediately and defend yourself. We are going to override that program. We will train your mind to take a slow, intentional breath. 1, 2, 3. And in that small, sacred window of quiet, you will choose your response instead of emotionally reacting. That pause is where your power, your dignity, and your self-control live. The fourth tactic is your shield, the reverse script. Stop trying to win arguments. Stop trying to find the perfect, eloquent response to their insanity. It doesn't exist. Instead, you walk into any necessary interaction armed with 5 pre-written, generic, bulletproof phrases that shut down the chaos without ever engaging the topic. Phrases like, "I'm not discussing this right now," or "I'm sorry you feel that way," or simply, "That is your decision." You repeat them until they realize the conversation is over. And finally, the most critical move for long-term health, the joy inventory. You cannot heal in the same environment where you got sick. We're not just coping with him or her. We are building a life so rich, so full of genuine, protected peace and joy, that their drama is nothing but a tiny, muffled sound in the distance. We're going to learn how to actively schedule and relentlessly protect the things that fuel your soul, because a full tank is immune to sabotage. This is your battle plan. We are moving from feeling trapped to feeling prepared. I need you to lean in now, because we are getting ready to dissect these 5 incredible tools one by one. By the time you leave this place, you will not only know your strength, you will know exactly how to use it.